Hey there, everybody, and welcome. It's the mid-16th century, and the Tsar of Russia, Ivan the Terrible, has ordered the construction of, Trinity Church, which will eventually be known as St. Basil's Cathedral, which I think is just now a museum. Anyway, I am going to be presenting a full solo tutorial and playthrough of the Red Cathedral designed by Israel Sendrero and Sheila Santos, if I'm pronouncing those names correctly. I hope I am. And with the scores of other videos I've created over the past many years, I will be doing so using a program that I wrote to play the game. The advantage of my using a program is that it'll provide you with a front row seat. It'll let you see everything that's going on during the tutorial and playthrough, see it all in detail, as opposed to having a camera aimed at the entire playing area that would make it more difficult for you to follow what was happening at any given moment. Furthermore, the program's also going to ensure that I don't make any mistakes in the course of this presentation. It's easy to become forgetful in the course of teaching and playing and presenting a game, and my program's going to ensure that I don't accidentally forget some rule or skip some important step. Suffice it to say, I write these programs for my own personal enjoyment. I don't make them available to the public due to copyright restrictions. Like I said, I've done scores of these videos, scores of programs over time. I would invite you to like this video and subscribe to my channel and check out a lot of the other games that I have programmed over the years. I think if you like Red Cathedral and like solo games, you'll probably find a lot there to enjoy. In any event, when you're playing a solo game of the Red Cathedral, you are playing one-on-one against an automa-controlled bot named Ivan. I think he was thought to be the architect of the cathedral, or maybe one of the architects. I will discuss in detail how the game works and how the solo bot takes its turn over the course of this playthrough. I'm going to be playing with the green pieces today. Ivan, can't remember the architect's name, obviously not Ivan the Terrible, but he's going to be playing with the red pieces today. And let's get underway. For the game, a randomly drawn cathedral layout card was drawn based on player count. There are 3 cathedral layouts for a 2-player game, 3 for a 3-player game, 3 for a 4-player game. So the one that my program picked resulted in this kind of a tower. 4 towers, the first one being 3 levels high. The bottom level is always a doorway into that particular tower. The top section, or the top card, is always a dome. And anything in the middle that might exist contains archways or windows. Both you and the bot start the game with 2 victory points or recognition points. You'll notice actually that the scoring track consists of both recognition points, the numbers you think of as victory points that are in tan boxes, but there are also prestige points that occur at varying intervals along the scoring track. That's these banners that are yellow and red. So recognition points are represented by the cross, the silver cross, and the prestige points are recognized by the gold and red banner. So as you get higher and higher in score, the prestige point marks grow closer and closer together. Eventually, when you get up to the 60s, you'll see that prestige and recognition points become synonymous with one another. But in the early part of the game, say I have 10 points right now, if I actually gained a prestige, I would jump from 10 all the way to 13. If I lost a prestige, I would drop from 10 back to 9. If I'm at 9 and I gain a prestige, I jump all the way up to 13. If I'm at 9 and lose a prestige, I drop all the way down to 5. So you get the idea. During different parts of the game, you'll be scoring recognition points, as I said, represented by the cross, and at other times during the game and during in-game scoring also, you'll be only scoring prestige, which is represented by the yellow and red banners. Before the solo game actually begins, the bot stakes a claim on a lower section of the church that's going to produce the most recognition points for him once he completes that section. Now you'll notice along the bottom, this card would score 8 points, this 7, this one 8, and this one 8. So there were 3 cards tied with the most recognition points. In that case, Ivan simply claims the one furthest to the left. So he has placed his banner on this card, one of his 6 banners, and he is the only person who can build up and construct this particular section of the church. You, the human player, always take the first turn in the game. You're considered the start player, and the player who is first in turn order always starts the game with 3 rubles. That's shown down here in the bottom right corner of my player board. If you're playing a multiplayer game, the second and third players both start with 4 rubles, and the fourth player starts the game with 5 rubles if you're playing a 4-player game. The bot, however, doesn't collect rubles, doesn't use rubles, doesn't spend rubles, and therefore doesn't start with any at the beginning of the game. So on your turn, you can perform one of 3 possible actions, and I will explain these actions as I perform them on different turns. One of the actions you can take is doing something similar to what Ivan just did at the start of the game, claiming a section of the cathedral so that you have sole responsibility for completing that specific section. And that's what I'm going to do now. Now, I can place one of my banners on any unclaimed card as long as it's the lowest unclaimed card in that particular tower. So I could claim here, 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 or I can claim here because immediately below me is where that was claimed by Ivan. And I think I have my eye on claiming this one right here. Now, in order to complete this section of the cathedral, at some point, I'm eventually going to have to supply 2 stone and a purple gemstone. Speaking of resources, I should point out that the resources in the game are limited in numbers, and they're limited to the numbers you see over here. So this represents the supply in this game. There are 20 lumber, 20 brick, 20 stone, 15 gold, 10 green gemstones, and 10 purple gemstones. When you're playing a 2-player game, the odds of this becoming an issue, of running out of a particular a resource, are pretty slim. I suppose there's a chance it might happen in a 3-player game, more likely to see it happen possibly in a 4-player game. Now, since I want to stake a claim on this section of the church, I have to start by choosing one of my 6 banners to place on that card. I can either pick one that is sitting on my inventory track, one of these 4, or I can pick one of my 2 spare banners that are sitting below the inventory track. This inventory track is currently limiting me to holding a maximum of 6 resources because this is where my banners and resources are stored. So because I have 4 banners, I have space for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 resources. I cannot exceed my storage space in my inventory. So by using one of the banners on my inventory, as opposed to using a spare to mark my claim, I'm effectively providing myself with an extra space on the inventory track, thereby increasing my maximum holdings from 6 resources to 7. So clearly, you want to always use these banners on the inventory track before you tap into the spares. Now, there's an advanced side to this player board that you can play the game with that mixes things up a little bit and I guess somewhat complicates your decision between using a regular banner or a spare banner. Maybe I'll produce another video at some point that illustrates how the advanced side works. It's not dramatically different from the rest of the game, but it adds a little bit of interest to it. Anyway, back to my action. So I am going to remove the rightmost banner here and place it on this card. And by doing so, I'm going to be able to take the workshop tile, that's this tile here with a green dye on it, and I'll have to place that tile on one of the 6 workshop spaces on my player board. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different spaces with varying costs. You'll see that these 3 cost 2 rubles to place there face up. This space costs 3 rubles, this space costs 2, but this space costs 4. If I placed the tile face up, I would have to pay the cost. If I couldn't afford to pay the rubles, or I didn't want to pay the rubles, I'd have to place the workshop tile face down, thereby using up that workshop space, but not getting the benefit of the workshop tile itself. By paying the cost and placing it face up, I am essentially getting an immediate reward from that workshop tile, and I'll continue to get rewards from that workshop tile anytime I move a die on the rondel that corresponds to the die in the corner here of the space where I happen to put that particular workshop tile. The immediate reward I get for a green die is I get whatever resource currently corresponds to the green die's location. So the green die is currently sitting up here, and I would gain 2 stone. These tokens also were randomly placed during setup. The other reason I particularly chose this space was because I knew the green die would provide me with 2 stone, and I need 2 stone to construct this section of the church. If I were to place this workshop tile, let's say in this space here, then any time I move the red die in the future, I can gain whatever resource currently corresponds to the position of the green die. So by putting the green die workshop tile here, then let's say if the green die happened to be over here at some point and I move the red die, I would trigger the green die workshop tile, and because the green die was sitting over here, I would gain 2 rubles. Clearly, it's in your best interest to try to pay for those workshop tiles and place them face up. So I'm going to claim that section of the church. I placed my green banner, so now I have 7 available spaces in my inventory. Now I have to think about what space and what die I want to associate that green die workshop tile with. In other words, what's going to trigger that in the future when I move it. I think this might be a tad confusing, but I actually think I'm going to place it on my green workshop space. So I'm going to put the green workshop tile on this green workshop space. I'll have to pay 3 rubles to do so. That's the cost of placing here. But I have it. I started the game with the 3 rubles, so that'll simply drop me down to 0 rubles. I will explain in hopefully my next turn why I decided to put it in this space. But I think this is going to work out for me. Now that I've placed my tile, I can now potentially gain as many as 2 stone, as you already know, because that's where the green die currently resides. But I don't have to collect 2 stone. If I want, I can collect 1 stone or even 0 stone. Because I have limited space in my inventory, I may not want to waste that space by taking resources that I know I'm not going to be able to spend. One of the key rules of this game is that you have to spend whatever's on your inventory track. You can't simply say, I don't really want that anymore, I just want to get rid of it and discard it. You can't discard resources in this game. But right now I've got plenty of space on my inventory track, so I have no qualms about taking both of the stone that I'm entitled to. So that 2 stone shows up on my inventory track. Here's my workshop tile. And here's my banner on this section that I claimed. So that was my first turn. Now it's the bot's first turn. And let me take a few moments to explain how the bot's player area was set up at the start of the game. The bot doesn't use a player board. Instead, you shuffle his 5 automa cards in the game, and you randomly lay them out face up in a row. You next shuffle 5 unused workshop tiles that depict a die on them, and you place those workshop tiles on top of the 5 automa cards, 1 tile per card. Now, my program actually displays each workshop tile immediately adjacent to its assigned automa card instead of placing it on top, but the result is the same. Each automa card has a particular colored die that's associated with it. So at this point, I know that when the bot is ready to take his first turn, he is going to move the red die, and he's going to take this action, which is ready resources for construction. On the bot's second turn, he's going to be moving the yellow die and performing this action, collect 4 resources. That the game really does provide you with all the information you need to figure out how the bot is going to behave on its future turns in case you want to puzzle out an optimal move for yourself. When it's the bot's turn, the first thing it does is it moves the depicted die that's currently visible on the leftmost, or in my case, topmost automa card. So he's going to move the red die. Now, the number of spaces that die moves is equivalent to the value of that die. So that die is currently a red 3 over here, and it's going to move 3 sections around the rondel in a clockwise direction. 1, 2, 3. You'll notice that at each section of the rondel holds enough space for 3 different dice. If for some reason there were already 3 dice in this space and Ivan wanted to try to move this die, he wouldn't be able to because it would be blocked. So he would skip the part of the turn that involves him moving the die. But clearly early in the game, space is not a problem. But it might happen later in the game where he might just get locked out somewhere and might not be able to move a die because it'd be moving into a space that was full. Also note that during setup, 4 influence cards were chosen randomly from each of the 4 different types. Throughout the game, I'll explain what these influence cards allow you to do. So we know the bot's going to move the red die 3 spaces clockwise around the rondel, and it's going to end up here in the purple gem section. Now, if it ended in this section where the cross resides, then the bot would score 1 victory point, 1 recognition point. Furthermore, if as a result of moving the die, the bot lands it in the quadrant wherever this particular card resides, he's going to automatically score 1 victory point, 1 recognition point. So right now, the bot's going to move the red die down here and score 1 recognition point, and then he's going to perform the action, ready resources for construction. Now that's good for me because he doesn't currently have any resources because the game just started to get ready for construction, and that's by design. These 5 automa cards are shuffled, and you might have an easier game or a harder game depending on the order that these automa cards came out. You don't reshuffle or reorder the automa cards once they're laid out for the first time at the start of the game. So let me end my turn, and I'll pause along the way just so you can see everything happen in kind of slow motion. So he's moving the red die down to the purple area. He is scoring a point up here in the top right corner, up to 3. Now he's performing this action, but can't do anything with it, and his turn ends right then and there. But he is currently leading 3 points to 2 for whatever that's worth. So now it's my second turn of the game, and what I'm going to do now on my turn is take an action that lets me move a die on the rondel and visit the market. That's something the bot does not do when he moves a die around the rondel. The die I'm going to move is the green 3. Just as before, it's going to move a number of sections equal to its value, which is 3. So it's going to end up 1, 2, 3 in this section here where 2 rubles are indicated on the token. Now normally any die that I move will move in just that way. However, if I ever elect to move the white die, or if I ever elect to move the die that corresponds to my player color in the game, which happens to be green, then I'm permitted to move the die extra spaces if I want to by paying 1 ruble for every extra section that I want to advance the die. So that's the reason why I paid an extra ruble over here for this workshop space. All of the player boards are different. On the green player board, the green die is up here, and this space costs 3 rubles. The red player board, the red die is over here and the green die is over here, and this space still costs 3 rubles, but now it's associated with the red die. So there's a slight difference between the varying player boards. Each player has an advantage of being able to move the die extra spaces if he wants to pay for it, as long as the die is either white or is the color of his playing pieces. Of course, none of this affects the bot in the game because the bot doesn't use a player board. But if you are playing a multiplayer game, each player's player board is going to be slightly different depending upon the color of the pieces they're using in the game. Anyway, back to my turn. So I'm going to move the green 3 spaces, and it's going to move 3 sections and end up here. So let's go ahead and do that. My program would normally ask me now if I wanted to move the green die extra sections at a rate of 1 ruble per section, since green is in fact my player color, but it didn't in this case, and that's simply because I have no rubles and I can't afford to move the die extra spaces. I spent all my rubles when I placed this workshop tile in my last turn. When I'm visiting the market, and now that I'm visiting the market, I should say, there are 3 different actions I can perform in any order of my choosing. I don't have to perform all 3 of these actions, but I can if I want to. Sometimes I can only perform 2 actions, and the third one's not even available to me, as you'll soon see. But it's entirely my choice what order I want to perform these in. Now, oftentimes the order you perform the actions in really doesn't matter, as I'll demonstrate right now. So first, I can collect the resource that's shown in next to the space or the section where the die that I moved ended up. And because the die, the green die that I moved, ended in this section, and there are 2 dice in this section, I can collect this reward 2 times. So this is going to allow me to collect 4 rubles, 2 times 2. Okay, so now I've got 4 rubles. Furthermore, if I now use my workshop, remember my workshop was that if I ever move the green die, I can collect whatever resource currently corresponds to the location of the green die. Well, that resource is 2 rubles, so by using my workshop, I'm going to collect 2 more rubles and bring me up to 6. Finally, I can use the influence, one of the influences of the influence card in the quadrant where I ended my movement. I can either use this influence to gain 1 point, or I could pay 3 rubles to score 1 prestige. Now, if I score 1 prestige right now, I'm going to jump from 2 victory points all the way up to 5, and I've got 6 rubles. I am very tempted to do that, and I think I will. So I'm going to pay 3 of my 6 rubles to jump from 2 points all the way up to 5 points, where this prestige mark is on the scoreboard. Okay, so I've got 5 points. The score is 5-3, as shown over here. I have now used all 3 of the possible actions I could that were associated with visiting the market. So there's nothing else I can do at this point, and I have to end my turn. Now, whenever you visit the market on your turn, upon ending your turn, and this is one of the things that's most easily forgotten in this game, when you end your turn after visiting the market, you have to immediately roll the dice in the section where the die you just moved happened to land. So my program is going to automatically re-roll the yellow 4 and the green 3, which is obviously going to affect what might happen next, especially since we know that the bot is going to be moving that yellow die, but we don't know how far he's going to be moving that yellow die just yet. So I'm going to end my turn and pause to let the program roll the dice first. Okay, so we have a yellow 2 and a green 1. So what Ivan's going to do is he's going to move the yellow die 2 spaces clockwise, landing over here next to the 2 wood. Next, he's going to perform the action collect 4 resources. Now, the bot doesn't care what resources he collects, he only cares that he gets 4 of them. The rulebook actually instructs you to just simply remove the most plentiful resource in the supply and place them in the bot's area. So my program is actually going to give him a wood, and then it's going to give him a brick, and then because these are tied again, it's going to give him another wood, and then for this fourth resource, it's going to give him another brick. So he's going to end up with 2 lumber and 2 bricks. Now don't worry, you don't have to be counting resources. Just look over at the piles, kind of gauge which one looks like it has the most stuff in it, and give the bot stuff from that pile. Like I said, in a 2-player game, it's unlikely that you're ever going to run out of resources. So I'm now going to unpause and let the bot complete its turn, moving the yellow die 2 spaces, and then collecting 2 wood and 2 brick. So that's where his brick and his wood show up. And you know what? Let me take a moment to explain everything that's going on down here in my program, because it may look a little bit confusing, but it's sort of set up in a way that kind of made sense to me. So as you already know, this column on the far left tells me how many of each resources are currently in the supply. This second column simply tells me how many of each resource I'm actually holding at the moment on my inventory track. So it's just another way for me at this moment to see that I happen to have 2 stone. This column over here actually kind of helps me out by telling me what resources I need to complete the sections of the church that I've currently claimed but haven't completed yet. So this is simply reminding me that I need 2 stone and a purple gem in order to complete this outstanding section of the church that I have a claim on. And everything in the red section here is what's happening in the bot's player area. He's got his 5 automa cards. He's got his workshop tiles that are laid out on top of them, or in my case, next to them, and they are flipped face down or removed in my case as I use them, so that I always know which action he's going to perform next, which die he's going to roll next. I don't bother having the bot collect anything other than wood, brick, and stone, because those are most plentiful in the game. I don't think it's ever going to be a problem. And I'll explain what this black box is later on, but that pretty much tells you what's happening with the player board. Otherwise, you already know that this is my inventory track. If I don't want to have to glance up at the scoreboard, I know where I stand as far as my score, what I would lose if I lost a prestige, and what I would gain if I gained a prestige. And these are my rubles and my various workshop spaces with some workshop tiles already on them. And I also have ornaments. I have a door and 2 windows and a cross, which I can use to ornament the church later on. But Ivan also has a door, 2 windows, and a cross, and he'll try to use those to ornament the church later on as well. So we've seen the bot prepare resources for construction, and then he collected resources. Now, for him, that was kind of backwards. He probably would have preferred to collect the resources first and then take those resources and ready them for construction. So as I said, the ease and difficulty of the bot in any particular game is going to be a little bit of a function of what the order of these automa tiles happens to be. But the bot's eventually going to catch up and start getting the hang of it and start moving along. I just need to make sure I'm always 1 step ahead of him if I possibly can be. Anyway, it is my 3rd turn, and so I already have 2 stone that I need. I am lacking in purple gems. Now I can get that by moving the green die again. If I move the green die here, then I'm going to be able to collect 2 purple gems. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do another visit the market action. I'll move the green die. Now I do have rubles, but I don't have any intent of moving the die any further. So I'm going to start by collecting 2 purple gems. I have the space on my inventory track. I can use my workshop to gain 1 more purple gem. Again, I move the green die. The location of the green die is where there's a purple gem depicted. So if I use that workshop, I'll gain another purple gem. I'm running out of space here. And if I want, I could spend 3 rubles to get another prestige and jump from 5 points to 9 points. But I have plans to use these rubles, I think, so I'm just going to use the top influence here and simply score 1 point. So the score currently stands at 6-3 in my favor. That's going to end my turn. Once again, these dice are going to get re-rolled, and then we'll visit what the bot's going to do. Okay, so the bot's planning to move the blue die. Blue die is over here. He's going to move it 1 space. He's going to score a point because he landed in the quadrant where this card happened to be. So he is going to score a point. And then he's going to take the action, construct cathedral. He constructs the parts of the cathedral not with the resources he's collected, but with resources that are sitting on top of his construction card. This card right here. Now, I don't put resources on top of this construction card. I simply represent that by putting those resources in the black box. So what would normally happen is you would collect the resources, then you would move them into the black box, ready them for construction, and then you would want to do this turn, construct cathedral, by taking those resources out of the black box and building a section of the cathedral wherever the bot currently has a claim. In this case, he has no resources down here, therefore he is actually not going to be able to perform this action. So again, in this first initial go through, he's kind of going to have a dead turn. Blue die moves 1 space. He tries to take this action, nothing he can do, so his turn is over. But he did score 1 point, and now the score is 6-4. So for my turn, I now have all the resources I need to build my claimed section of the cathedral over here. I have 2 stone, and I have the 1 purple gem. If I do that now, I will gain 2 rubles, as shown here, and I'll score 4 victory points. And because I completed a section before Ivan completed a section below my section, then he is going to be penalized for moving too slowly, and he's going to lose 1 point for every opponent's completed section above his incompleted section. So in other words, once I complete this section, he has an incomplete section with one of my sections completed above him. That's going to cause him to lose 1 point. And that's pretty enticing for me to do that right now, but note what Ivan's going to do next on his turn. He is actually going to claim another section of the cathedral. And when he does that, his preference is to claim a section that's immediately above one of my claim sections. And in that case, he's going to grab this section of the cathedral. And he'll have 2 sections of the 3 cards here, and I'll only have claimed 1 section. I don't want him to be able to do that, so instead of funding and building out this part of the cathedral just yet, I am planning to stake a claim on this card. Now that's going to give me, well, you know what, before I do that, let me take a break and actually explain how points are earned at the end of the game. For the most part, most of your points at the end of the game come from the evaluation of the various towers. The towers are evaluated in order from left to right, the columns I should say, and a total value for each tower is figured out. So if this first tower were fully completed at the end of the game, all 3 of these sections, then the total value of the tower would be 2 for this completed section, plus 2 for this completed section, plus 2 for this completed section, or a total value of 6. Now, if there happen to be ornaments on any of the cards, and you'll see how ornaments work later, but ornaments are things like doors and windows and crosses, If any ornaments happen to appear, they would add 1 point or 1 prestige to the total value of the column. So it's again 2 prestige per completed card in that column, plus 1 prestige for every ornament in that column. Then you figure out how much of the tower is occupied by my pieces versus, in this case, Ivan's pieces. So let's ignore ornaments for the time being and just assume this tower was fully completed and was worth 6 prestige. If I had this section, and therefore had 2 sections completed, and Ivan only had 1, then I would win the majority. Therefore, I would gain or score all 6 of that prestige at the end of the game. And then when you're playing a 2-player game, the person who comes in second, in this case Ivan, scores a third of that value. In this case, he'd score 2 prestige, a third of 6. When you're playing multiplayer, 3 or 4-player game, it works a little bit differently. The first player gets the total value of the tower. The next player with the next most amount of stuff in that tower would get half of that. In that case, half of 6, or 3 prestige. If another player was in that tower, he'd get half of 3 rounded down, or get 1 prestige. And in the case of a tie, if, let's say, 2 players were tied for first, well, we know that the value of having the most is worth 6, and having the second most is worth 3. So you simply add those 2 together if there happened to be a tie for first and second place, and those 2 players would split 9 prestige, rounded down. So each player would get 4 prestige each. So that's the way scoring works in multiplayer. In a 2-player game, the person with the majority of area of control in that tower gets the full amount of the value, and the player with the second most gets a third of that value. And in the event of a tie, no player scores for that tower. So 2-player rules are different than 3 and 4-player games, and I thought I would explain that before going on. The bottom line is I don't want Ivan to be able to claim that last section of the tower, so I need to claim it before he does. So I am going to claim this and place this blue die workshop tile someplace. Notice I eventually will score 8 points here, and it's going to cost me a lumber, a gold, and a green gemstone to complete this section of the church. All right, so I placed my banner from my inventory track on this card. The question is, where do I want to place that blue die workshop tile? Now, currently, it's going to give me 2 more rubles because that's where the blue die currently resides. We know that Ivan's going to be moving the green die next 4 spaces, so it's going to end up here. I might subsequently decide to move my white die down here to gain wood and maybe some gold. So I think for the time being, it's probably in my best interest. I'm going to actually place it on one of the white spaces. Now, one of the white spaces costs 2 rubles, the other one costs 4. Clearly, I'm going to place the workshop tile on the white space that costs 2 rubles. So now, anytime I move the white die, I get whatever's corresponds to the location of the blue die. And that's going to end my turn. So next up, Ivan's going to move the green die 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, end up over here, not getting anything out of that. And then he is going to resolve this action, claim a section. Now, when he claims a section, he prefers to claim a section that's immediately above one of my sections, as I just explained. He can't do that right now because there are no open sections that are available above one of my sections. So his next order of priority is to try to grab one of the bases. The rules simply state you choose where you want Ivan to stake his claim. So that's what's going to happen next. He is going to move the green die 4 spaces. He's going to start executing the action. He sees that he wants to build here in the base, and he is asking me to choose which section I want him to claim for himself. We've got a really short tower here, a big tower here. This is going to be worth a lot of points by the end of the game. I think I'm going to actually have him put it in the third tower, and I'm going to strive to make sure I win this tower. I've already won this tower. Well, it's not absolutely written in the books yet, because none of these sections are completed yet, but I would expect by the end of the game they would be, and I've got a pretty good chance of scoring this tower for the most number of points. My goal is to also score this tower for the most number of points, so I'm going to have him start at the bottom of the highest tower. Okay, so he places his marker there. He throws out, you return to the game box, the workshop tile. He doesn't use it in any way, shape, or form. Now it's my turn again, and this time I'm going to demonstrate the third possible action you can take on your turn. So remember, one of the actions is to claim a section of the cathedral. Another action is to move a die on the rondel and visit the market. The third action is to actually build a section of the cathedral by supplying it with resources. What I'm apt to do is complete this section of the cathedral by supplying it with 2 stone and a purple gem. When you perform this type of action, you're not restricted to supplying resources just one section of the cathedral. You can actually spread them out if you want to, but you are restricted to transporting no more than 3 resources in total. So in my case, I have the resources I need to complete this section. I don't need to move more than 3 resources to do it, so I'm going to be able to move the resources and complete this section in one turn. So I'm going to start by moving 2 stone into this space. And now I've got 3 purple gems left. I only need 1. I'm going to put the 1 purple gem here, and I will have completed this section, at which time the card is flipped over, and now we see that completed part of the church. I scored, what was it, 4 recognition, I believe. Let me just take a look there. Yeah, I scored 4 points and gained 2 rubles for completing that section. So Ivan's next turn is going to be a simple one. He is going to move the white die 6 spaces all the way over to here, and then he's simply going to score 4 victory points for recognition. Bringing his total up to 7, so the score now stands at 10-7. Okay, so by claiming this section, now I'm in need of wood, gold, and a green gem. So one way I can get these resources is actually by claiming the bottom level card here. By getting this workshop tile, I'm going to be getting 2 wood. I could claim this section and gain a gold from this workshop tile. I could actually claim this card and get a green gem. And like I said, I really want to get into that third tower. Now I could probably get resources by moving dice around. I haven't figured out what I would have to move. But I actually like, I have the rubles right now. I like the idea of possibly claiming that second section of the third tower to get a green gem. And I think I'll do that. So let's grab this. This is eventually going to be worth 3 rubles and 6 points. And I'll have to supply it with a lumber, 2 brick, and a green gem, which is nice because I'm getting the green gem. I need to help pay for it. Question is, where do I want to put that green gem workshop tile? I don't know what die Ivan is going to move next. He has now run out of workshop tiles. He's going to shuffle them and do some other stuff for his next turn. He's going to try to add a door to the cathedral, but he's going to fail because he has no place to put a door. I think I'm going to put the workshop tile on the red space, which is going to cost me 2 rubles. So that means anytime I move the red die I will gain a green gem if I want to. And I'm going to collect one green gem right now. And that cost me 2 rubles. So I have a green gem and 2 purple gems. And I've already used up 3 of my 6 banners. Let's end the turn and see what Ivan's going to do. So he, first of all, like I said, he was out of workshop tiles. The first thing he wants to do is try to build a door. Remember, each of us has 1 door to ornament the church with, 2 windows, and a cross that goes on the dome, on the top of a tower. Now, Ivan wanted to build a door, but to build a door, to ornament with a door, you have to have a completed base section down here, and there are no completed base sections, so he skipped that step. He then shuffled all these workshop tiles again, so we now know that he's going to move the yellow die 2 spaces, 1, 2, scoring a point because he landed next to the recognition point token. And then he is going to ready resources for construction. And now he actually has resources. He has 2 lumber and 2 brick, so all these resources are going to be moved on top of his construction card, or in my case, they're going to be just stuck in this black box. So let's let Ivan continue and perform the rest of his turn. He moves the yellow die 2 spaces, he scores a point, and he just moves all these resources on top of his Construct the Cathedral Automa card. So you can see playing this solo with the game pieces is actually pretty easy. It's not a whole lot more complicated than my using my program to do it, and it moves very quickly. So he's got these 4 resources ready for construction when he gets down to this step, and these resources are just still sitting on his construction card, and still 2 lumber and 2 brick. My program remembers what those resources happen to be, so we don't lose track of them. He's going to move the white die on his next turn, which tempts me to do it first, because if I move the white die, it's going to come all the way around to here, and I'm going to be able to score a boatload of rubles again, just like I did before. Now, I have 3 rubles, so it's not like I'm hurting for rubles, but, also gaining that prestige is nice. I think I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to move the white die. Because it's white, I could move it further at a cost of 1 ruble per section, but I'm not going to. I am collecting rubles. 2 dice here times 2 rubles is 4 rubles. Brings me up to 7 rubles. I'm going to use my white workshop, which gives me whatever the blue die corresponds to right now. Blue die sitting here too, so that's another 2 rubles. Now I'm at 9 rubles, and now again I'm going to use the bottom of this influence card to convert 3 of those rubles to 1 prestige, which is going to bump me from 10 points up to 13 points. At the end of my turn, the white and blue dice are going to re-roll, and then we're going to see what Ivan's going to do with that white die. He is then going to collect 4 resources. Okay, he's going to be moving the white die 5 spaces. It's going to end up in the stone section, so nothing else is going to happen with it. He's going to collect 4 resources, and it's going to be 2 stone and maybe a lumber and a brick, I suspect. Yep, 2 stone, a lumber, and a brick. So he's got these resources in his resource area. These resources are sitting on top of his construction card, and he's going to be building out, finally, his cathedral on his next turn. For my next turn, so what do I need? I need lumber, brick, gold, and green gems. I'm going to move the red 6. Yeah, I'm going to move the red 6. That's going to land in the brick section. Be able to collect 2 bricks. And I have plenty of room, so I'll keep both of them. I will use my red workshop, which gives me a green gem. And now I am going to I think I'm going to use the lower ability here. This is one time only because it's a lightning bolt. I can exchange 1 ruble and 1 resource for one of any other resource. So I am going to execute that. And in addition to my 1 ruble, I'm going to get rid of one of my purple gems. And in its place, take a gold, because I have no gold. Okay, so now I've got the gold and the green gems I need. I've got the brick that I need. And I can start building out the cathedral if I want to, but ultimately I'm going to have to find a source of two lumber rather. At this point, Ivan's finally ready to work on the cathedral. He's finally come around all the way where he's got some resources to work with in his construction area. He's first going to move the red die. The red die is going to move 6 spaces all the way over to here, just enough room for it to fit. Nothing else is going to come of that. He's then going to take these 4 resources and start building out sections, starting with the bottom left, moving up, then the next tower moving up, and so forth, wherever he has claimed sections. As you might have already guessed, Ivan doesn't actually spend the resources that are required by a section. He is not obligated here, for example, to pay a stone. He's not obligated over here to pay a gold. He simply wants to pay the number of resources required using any of the resources he's collected on top of his build card so far. So because he's going to start down here, to complete this section, he needs 4 resources. He's about to supply 4 resources, so he is going to complete this section of the cathedral, and it will then flip over, and he'll have completed his turn. So remember, he had 2 lumber and 2 brick. He pays the 2 lumber and 2 brick, 4 resources, completes it. Those resources then go back to the supply, and his turn is now over. So we have each completed a section in the first tower of the church. And I think, that scored him 8 recognition, as I recall. If there were rubles involved, he doesn't bother. He doesn't collect rubles. He has finally taken the lead for the first time in the game, 16-13. But not for long, because I'm going to now complete the second level section in the third tower over here. Well, I'm not going to complete it. I need 4 resources, but I'm limited to transferring 3 resources. But we'll get close. I'm going to start by moving over 2 of my brick and 1 of my lumber. And that pretty much is all I can do. I have the green gem that's ready to go on my next turn. Ivan's turn is he's going to move the blue die 2 spaces, 1, 2, and over here. And then he is going to claim another section of the cathedral. And he is going to claim this section here because remember, his priority is to try to claim a section that's above one of my sections. So he'll now have 2 sections. I've got to make sure I claim that last section before he does. There he goes. He's claimed the section. And now it's my turn. I am in no rush to claim this section because I know he's not going to claim another section until he comes all the way back around in 5 turns. Because I am going to be completing this section and he has an incomplete section down here, he is going to be losing a point. And I'm going to gain 6 points and 3 rubles. Actually, well, I'm not in any rush to grab this. I could probably make good use of this resource tile, this workshop tile. And I've got plenty of rubles. I actually think I'm going to do it. I'm going to claim this section of the cathedral. And I'm going to put the white dye workshop tile on the blue workshop space. And you'll see why in a minute, I think, if it's all going to work out. Okay, I can collect as many as 2 stone. I'll take all 2 of the stone. What's Ivan going to do next? He's going to move his green die 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. He will score a point for this influence card, and then he will score 4 more points for a total of 5, bringing him up to 21 points. I'm going to finish this section by supplying it with a green gem. That's going to give me rubles and points. So now it's 20 to 19. I can bring a gold over here, and then I have room for 1 more delivery. I could put a green gem in here. I have no lumber. I could put a purple gem up here. I'm going to hold off on doing anything else. I'm actually going to waste one of my 3rd delivery, essentially. And I'm going to end my turn, and you'll see why in a moment. Ivan is out of workshop tiles. He wants to decorate with a door. Now he can decorate with a door. So he's going to put one of his door ornaments here. And as a result of that, he's going to score 1 prestige for doing so. So he's currently at 20 points. That's going to bring him up to 22 points. And once he builds the door, he's going to reshuffle his workshop tiles, and we'll see what he does next. So there's the door. There are the workshop tiles. He's going to move the green die 4 spaces up to here, and he is going to move his resources into construction. So he is going to take his 4 resources over here and move them into the black box. Okay, my turn. Like Ivan, I want to decorate here as well. Remember, currently I have 1, 2 items, but he's got 2 items as well. He's got a section plus a door. So we're currently tied in this section. I don't want him to take the lead here. So I'm going to build a window. To build a window, I need to supply a stone. You notice a door requires a wood, a window requires a stone, and a cross requires a gold. When you're ornamenting a part of the church, you have to supply that 1 resource, so I'm going to have to pay the 1 stone. I have it. And then you are allowed to accompany that with 0, 1, or 2 gems. If you supply no gems, then you simply build the ornament and you increase your area majority in that particular tower. If you supply 1 gem, the gem gets returned to the supply, but you get to score 1 prestige. If you supply 2 gems of the same color, you score 2 prestige, and those gems go back to the supply. And if you provide 2 gems that are different in color, that is a green gem and a purple gem, then you score 3 prestige. And those gems then get returned to the supply. In effect, you are supplying gemstones to decorate the cathedral with. And if you've ever seen this cathedral, it's actually quite beautiful and stood there for well over 400 years. So I am going to decorate with a window, and I'm going to I could put it here or I could put it here. Now, you don't have to decorate a window in a part of a building that's claimed by you. You could actually build an ornament in any completed section of the cathedral. It doesn't have to be one of your sections. But right now, I want to build a window, and the only 2 windows available are my windows. And because I'm currently tied here, I do want to build the window on the first tower. So I am going to do that. Yes, say yes. I'm supplying 1 stone, and I can supply a green gem, a purple gem, or one of each. I'm obviously doing one of each. I'm going to score 3 prestige, jumping from 19 points here to 1, 2, to 20. What is that? 8 points. 3 prestige. So the score now stands at 28 to 22, and I currently hold the majority in this tower. For right now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 3 things, and he's got 2 things, a door and a section. And the value of the tower is worth 2, 4, eventually 6, plus 7, plus 8. So there are a lot of prestige to dole out at the end of the game for this tower that's of a medium height. That ends my turn. Ivan is going to move the white die 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, end up over here in the wood area, and then he is going to collect 4 resources. Looks like an assortment of lumber, brick, and stone. Okay, well, actually, he got 3 wood and one brick. So I need a little bit of everything. I need a wood, I need 2 brick, I need a green gem, I need a purple gem. So what are my options here? I can move the red die for 2 bricks and a green gem because of my workshop tile. I can move the blue die and get 4 points, as well as 2 wood for this workshop tile, and a chance to buy some more resources, and I do have plenty of rubles. I think I'm going to like that. I don't know that I need to look any further. Yeah, I'm going with the blue die. That seems to make a lot of sense. So the blue die is moving 2 spaces. I'm going to start by collecting, scoring 4 points, 2 dice, well, 2 points rather. I'll use my blue workshop because I move the blue die to get 2 lumber. I could sell a lumber, brick, or stone for a ruble, but I want to spend 2 rubles because I have plenty of rubles to buy either a green gem, a purple gem, or a gold. And I can actually do this repeatedly. This is an infinity sign over here. I can do this as much as I want as long as I've got the money to do it. So I think I am going to use that ability, and I'm going to spend 2 rubles to buy a green gem and 2 rubles to buy a purple gem. So now I've got 1 of each, and I'm down to 2 rubles, and I think I'm going to stop there. At the end of my turn, the blue and yellow dice are going to roll, and let's go from there. Okay, oop, I didn't pause quickly enough. He moved the yellow die 4 spaces. He is going to score a point because of that. And now he is going to build out the cathedral. So he is going to take his resources and use them to build this section over here. Okay, so that section is now complete. And I think he did score that point, increased score by 8, which I think 7. Oh, right here, yes, he scored 1 point for landing in that section where the influence card happened to be. All right, so what's happening here? So in 2 turns, Ivan's going to want to decorate a window. And he's going to want to decorate this window over here. So I want to make sure I beat him to the punch. And I actually have what I need to build it right now. I've got the stone, and I've got one of each gem that's going to give me another 3 prestige. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Build a window with one of each gem for 3 prestige. I currently stand at 30. 3 prestige will get me to 1, 2, 3, 37 points. I still have a door. I've used up both of my windows. We each started with 2 windows, a door, and a cross. So I still have 2 things I can ornament with at some point. Ivan is now going to move the red die 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and do nothing with it. He is then going to claim a section. He can't claim a section above one of my sections, so he's going to ask me to either claim this one or this one. Now I have 2 banners remaining on my player board down here. This is going to be his 5th section that he's claiming. Well, let's let him get to that point here. My blue die that I moved rolls. He moves the red die. He wants to claim a base level section. Since this one, yeah, I think I'm going to put him in the 4th tower. Well, if I send him into the 4th tower, I'm not sure I'd have enough time to claim the other 2 sections there and complete all the pending sections I have before the game ultimately ends. I might have enough time, but if I send him into the 2nd tower, I'll definitely be able to claim this section and finish it in time. I think it's a better bet to go here, so I'm going to have him go to this section of the tower. I'm giving up the yellow die, which is kind of nice, but I'm in pretty good shape as far as workshops are concerned. Okay, he's claimed that section. You know, before I forget, for completeness sake, I should explain that during your turn, at any time during the turn, you always have the option to spend 1 prestige to gain 2 rubles any number of times, or you have the option to spend 1 prestige to one time re-roll all the dice in any one section of the rondel, if you want. Clearly, the best time to do that is when losing a prestige is not going to cost you a lot of victory points. So right now, I would have to lose 3 victory points, basically losing a prestige, in order to gain 2 rubles or re-roll dice in a section. So, you know, I would really be desperate for the rubles if I did that. I want to get my hands on brick. Moving the blue die will get me to the brick section and would let me gain 4 bricks as well as 2 lumber. Yeah, let's do that. So let's move the blue die. Collect bricks. 2 times 2 is 4 bricks. Do I want all 4 of those bricks? Got the space. Yeah, I'll take all 4 bricks. I'll use my workshop, because I moved the red die, my red workshop, oops, I moved the blue die rather. My blue workshop has a white die on the workshop tile, so I get whatever the white die is currently providing, which is 2 lumber. And I'll take all 2 of that lumber. So now I've got 4 lumber and 4 brick. And what do I need? I needed a purple gem at the very least. I will use this influence 1 time to convert 2 of the same resource, 2 lumber, into 1 resource of my choice, a purple gem. Or should I convert the brick? Need 2 brick up here. Might be smarter to use brick, I think. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to spend a lot of time. I'll just go with 2 lumber, and I'll take a purple gem. Hopefully that won't come back to haunt me later. But at least for now, I've got plenty of lumber. All right, what's Ivan going to do? He's going to remove the blue die 3 spaces over here, and then he's going to score 4 victory points. And I re-roll those dice in that section first. He actually moved it over here. I miscounted, and he scored 4 victory points. The score currently stands at 37 to 35. I have what I need to complete the top of this dome up here. And that's going to cause Ivan to lose a point because he has an incomplete section here. And he'll have 1 completed section above it. So 2 brick and 1 purple gem. And now we've got a beautiful red striped dome, which looks just like the actual. If you look at pictures of St. Basil's Cathedral, it looks just like this. They've actually modeled the art right after what the tower looks like. I think when Ivan the Great actually built the church, it was pretty bland. It actually took a couple centuries before they added color to it and gemstones and decorated it and made it kind of turn out to be what it actually is today. Okay, Ivan is out of workshop tiles. He has built a door, so now he wants to build a window, but he can't because the only spots are both taken up, so he's going to skip that. He's then going to shuffle the workshop tiles, and we're going to find out what he does next. He's going to move the blue die 4 spaces. Not going to have any effect on him. He is going to move all of his resources into the construction area, so the 3 wood and the 1 brick are going to move down there. You've clearly got the hang of this, I'm sure, so you're going to probably be way ahead of me now as far as knowing what's going to happen next. I want more green and purple gems for all the ornamentation that I want to add to the cathedral. I will move the green die to the purple gem space. I could move it further, but I don't want to. I will collect 1 purple gem. I'll use the workshop to collect a green gem. No, sorry, the workshop. I move the green die corresponds to the green, wherever the green die happens to be. That just gets me another purple gem. And now I'll use the influence to score a point. I don't have 3 rubles, so I'll just take 1 point for free. Score stands at 45 to 34. Okay, Ivan's going to move the red die 1 space. He'll get a point because of this, and he's going to collect 4 resources. First, I have to roll that die. That's the one thing that my program always remembers, fortunately. He's collecting 3 stone and a brick. It's my turn. I want green gems, and I don't see a great way to get them. These are really high numbered dice down here. I could move the red die here. Moving the red die gets me a green gem. Yeah, let's move the red die. Do I want another purple gem? Yeah, I might as well, I think. I'll take a purple gem. Oh, 2 purple gems. Now we're talking about a lot of space. Well, I'm going to take a chance here and take both purple gems. I hope I don't run out of space. I've got 2 spaces left. The workshop is now going to give me a green gem. No, the green workshop. Yeah, it got me a green gem. Okay, that's over here. I guess I could score a point. Okay. Yeesh, I gotta start spinning some of this stuff. Okay, Ivan's gonna move the white die 5 spaces over here, and he is going to construct using his 4 resources this bottom part of the cathedral, which requires all 4 of those resources. First, those dice have to get re-rolled. Moves the white die, and he starts funding these, transporting these resources over here, and finally completes the section and flips the card. He is going to claim a card now. I have to claim this before he gets there. Although he's not tempted to go there. His priority is to claim cards above mine, and if that doesn't work, take a base. So I'm not necessarily in a rush to go there. I could use the ruble. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab it. I guess it's going over here because I can't afford to put it there. Okay. Ivan, you are moving the yellow die 4 spaces. You're going to score a point. Then you are going to claim this card over here and throw away the gold workshop tile. Going to 43 points and staking out a claim at the bottom of that 4th tower. So we are racing toward the finish now. And I want to get my decorations done. He's eventually going to finish this. So this is currently worth 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 points with the window. 9 prestige with the window. I've got... Oh, wait, I can't decorate... I can add another prestige to that total by building a doorway here. It would require lumber, which I have, and 1 of each gem, which I have. That'll give me 3 prestige. Up to 52, so it's 52 to 43. Ivan's going to move the green die 3 spaces, get a point, and then score 4 additional points. So he's going to go up to 48. $49. How did I miss that? Oh, 2 dice are there, so he scores 2 points. Oh, God, that's a good example of my program not allowing me to screw up. Yes, he scores 1 point for every die present in that section. Good catch. I need lumber and gold and green gems. I've got plenty of purple gems. If I move the blue die, it would get me a gold and 2 bricks. And I could use this to shuffle some tokens around. I could spend 2 points to possibly re-roll those dice. I also don't know what Ivan's going to do next. This is a little bit tricky. I am going to move the blue die. Start by collecting gold. Let's use this influence to move some tokens around. I need a lot of green gems. And I think that if I could put the green gem here and get into this space, that's a lot of green gems. Now, he may end up moving a die out of there, but I think that's the best bet. So I'm going to use this special ability to switch the cross. Oh, I don't have the rubles. Oh. So I'd have to give up 2 points. Is it worth it? I think I'm going to go ahead and risk it. I am going to use my optional ability to lose 1 prestige, 2 points in this case, for 2 rubles. Now I'm going to do this and switch the cross with the green gem. Okay. What is that? Using the workshop would give me brick, but I want green gems. It's getting a little tight here. I am not going to bother using my workshop. I'm going to just end my turn right then and there. The blue die rolls. Oh, he's going to move the green die out of there. 3 spaces, moving it over here, and then moving his resources into his construction area. So much for getting a lot of green gems. Well, I should be able to get at least 2 green gems because I can move the white die. I'll move the white die over there. No, I don't want to move it any further. I will collect 2 green gems. Because I moved the white die, I get whatever the blue die corresponds to, which is a gold, which is perfectly fine with me. I'll use the workshop for the gold. Oh, how many green gems do I want? I will take 2 green gems. Use the workshop to get the gold. I am now filled up to capacity. I could sell my brick for 2 rubles. I could do this multiple times. Yeah, I think I will. I only have 1 ruble. I will sell both of my bricks for a ruble each. I do not want to sell my lumber, so I will stop there. And that will end my turn. Ivan is going to move the blue die 6 spaces, and here, score a point. I tell you, you really need a reminder when you're playing the game with the pieces to not forget to roll those dice. I think when you do a market action, what you should probably do is move the die off the game board over here to the side as a reminder that you have to roll the dice before you proceed. That's a good way to do it. I am ready to complete this dome, which is going to score me 8 points. So 1 lumber comes over here, 1 green gem comes over here, and I've got 1 more delivery. I could stick a purple gem over here. And that ends my turn. Ivan, what are you doing? You are moving the red die 3 spaces, and you're not scoring a point because now it's a green gem over here. And then you are building. You are taking your 4 resources and you're building this section of the cathedral down here. We are very close to the end of the game. Oh, you're building this first. This came first. So this tower is now done, worth 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 for the door, 10 for the window, 10 prestige, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 things, and he's got 1 thing. So this is my tower, baby. That's 10 prestige right there. Although he is going to build this window at some point, but it's not going to help him. It's actually going to probably help me to a certain extent. This first tower is complete and is worth 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 prestige with the 2 ornaments. I've got 1, 2, 3, and he's got 2. So again, I'm beating him here. I am winning in that tower as well. I think I'm going to be winning this. I've got one ornament to build, the cross. It's going to cost me a gold, and I have the gems to add to it. I will. This is a beautiful tower. I just have to do it there for the aesthetics. So I'm going to build a cross on the top of that dome. Cost me a gold, one of each color gem. Beautiful. So this is now a tower worth 11 prestige right there. And second place gets 3 prestige. If he builds a window, it'll be 12 prestige for me and 3 prestige for him. There are probably ways to make this, I mean, this is such a straightforward and simple solo game. There are probably ways to house rule it and make it a little more difficult. It doesn't come with ways to make it more difficult or easier, but as I'm playing here, I'm seeing lots of different ways that you can make the solo game just be a little more complicated, but have the dummy player play a little more smartly. Like clearly building an ornament in a tower that he has no chance of winning is just not very smart. Anyway, after building that cross, I am now out of ornaments, so at this point I just have to rush the end of the game before he can do anything of any great consequence. I still have a banner. I still have to claim, I guess, this section. Okay, what is he doing? He's moving the yellow die 2 spaces. He'll score a point, and he is going to claim the second level here of this tower. That's the only place it can go. Okay. He'll probably complete one of the sections. I do have to claim this last remaining section before he does. I currently don't have the 4 rubles for the workshop, but that frankly doesn't bother me because I don't really have a dire need for purple gems anymore in the game. I think I paid all the purple gems I owe. I am in need of lumber, and maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of all that lumber before. I'm going to need another gold, so I need 1 lumber. I need 2 lumber total once I claim, 2 gold, and a green gem. Let's see, moving the green 3 gets me the lumber I need. Plenty of lumber. The blue 6 is only good for bricks and maybe an exchange. Moving the red 3 gets me a green gem and bricks and an exchange. That might be the best bet. And the green, yeah, the red 3 gets me a green gem, which I will need up here. So let me move the red 3. I'll collect the 2 bricks. Actually collect 4 bricks. I don't need 4 bricks. And frankly, I don't need bricks, do I? I just need 2 bricks to do 1 exchange. So I will take 2 bricks. I will use my workshop to get a green gem. And I will now use this influence ability to exchange 2 bricks, and I'll exchange them for a gold. Okay, so now I'm just short of lumber, but I'm 2 turns away, I think, from ending this game. Ivan is rolling the white die, moving the white die and scoring a point and gaining 4 points here. He's going to score 5 points in total, bringing him up to 61. The score looks close, but I'm going to be scoring a boatload of points in the end. How do I get lumber? I can move the green die and pay 2 rubles to get it here. I could give up a point and re-roll these dice, but there's no guarantee. I think the only guarantee is spending the 2 rubles. Move it. one more space, and another space costing me 2 rubles, and that's it. I will collect my lumber. That's fine. I've got take 2 lumber. The influence would get me more lumber, but I really don't need it. There's nothing here particularly I need to do. It's not going to help me. I'm just going to end it there. Re-rolling the die that I moved. He was out of, oh, he builds his window. His second, that's the first window that he's building. Then he's going to come up with new workshop tiles here. Okay, he's going to move the yellow die 2 spaces. He's going to score a point. His ready resources for construction. All the resources go into the black box. So I do have to finally claim this card. And I don't have the rubles for the workshop. I think I am ready to finish this tower. Where is he? He's not ready to claim yet. I will finish this tower with a lumber and a gold. Okay, brings me up to 71. Ivan's going to move the green die 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get nothing from it. Collecting 4 resources. Wonder how the game would change if you reshuffled the Automa cards. Actually, that might make things worse for him. I don't think you could house rule that. I think you got to leave the Automa cards the way they are. You just have to make them a little smarter. It seems to me is a little too easy to beat. And I don't consider myself that strong of a player. I frankly haven't been playing this game. I've just been programming it. So, but you can make your own judgments about that. I am. Do I have what I need? Oh, I have to claim this tower. I'm not going to be able to use the workshop, but that's fine. I don't need purple gems, so it gets placed face down here in the last remaining space. Ivan's moving the red die 1 space, scoring 1 point. Or did I just move the red die? What did I just do? I claimed a section. Yeah, he was moving the red die 1 space, scoring a point, and building out this section down here. And completing it with 1 resource left over to put over there. I have the wood, I have the gold, I have the green gem. Triggered the end of the game. That was my 6th banner. As a result, Ivan gets 1 more turn. Now, when you're playing the multiplayer game, the player who triggers the end of the game by building his last section scores 3 prestige. When you're playing solo, whoever triggers the end of the game does not score 3 prestige. That's an exception to that rule that's in the rule book. So what is Ivan going to do for his last turn? He is going to not be able to claim a section. He's going to roll the die, remove the white die 4 spaces. He will not get anything out of it. He will basically end the game at 71 points. And then we'll see how endgame scoring works. Like I said, I think I'm going to handily win this game. He moves the white die. He can't claim a section. All the sections are claimed. Won the game with a score of 98 to 77. Now, at the end of the game, players can convert rubles and resources at a rate of 5 to 1 into prestige. So essentially, we evaluated these towers. So this is worth 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 in total. I had area majority because I had 1 2, 3 items, and he had 1, 2 items. So I get 8 points out of it, and he gets a third of that, 2 points out of that, rounded down. For the second tower, total value was 4 prestige. I had 1 item, he had 1 item. It was a tie in a 2-player game. Ties don't score. Third tower, worth 12 prestige. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 for the door, 10 for the window, 11 for the window, 12 for the cross. I had 5 items. I score all 12 of that. He had 3 items. He scores a third, gets 4 prestige. And finally, for the fourth tower, total value is 4 prestige, but he had 1 item and I had 1 item. It was a tie. Nobody scored. And like I said, I've never played this game before. I've only programmed it. So I find it pretty simple. I think the solo game needs some tweaking to make it more of a challenge. Now, it's possible I misread a rule and I did something incorrectly, and if that's the case, I would hope somebody would correct me, but I think I did everything pretty accurately, unless I really blew it, but the rules are pretty straightforward. It's a great game. I think multiplayer, it's a very fascinating game. I like all the mechanisms. I like all the way the workshops work. There's a lot to love here, and it's not an expensive game to buy. They priced it, I think, at 30, 35 bucks, something like that. I heartily recommend the game. For solo play, I think the rules need a little tweaking, but I think somebody could easily come up with house rules and maybe post that on BGG to make this a more complicated, more difficult to beat solo game. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you have any comments, suggestions, or notes, please leave them in the comments section. Please like my video and subscribe to check out some of the other 80 videos maybe I've created over the years. All, for the most part, through programs that I've written, which are a lot. They all kind of look alike because I use a lot of the same code, and I don't spend a lot of time on these programs, but I kind of spit them out pretty quickly. So hope you like that video, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.